Everybody loves me, and I don't know why.
Alrighty, folks, we're back, and we got to thinking. We didn't much care for Frankie 1.0. He wasn't too easy on the eyes. So here's you'll see George in the laboratory cooking up Frankie 2.0. There was you can see him hammering and drilling away there. There's a lot of math and science involved in this here project. Oh yeah, look at that. Yep, see? Science, told you. There, oh. Yep, look at that. Look it. And so yeah, George drove his ass over to the local Home Depot and got a nice little scrap piece of aluminum. And I had just the main tools we used for this project was a Dremel, a drill, and a utility knife for cutting rubber tubing. A couple of pieces we used there. But yeah, and I missed a couple of main points in the first video. But George will he'll tell you all about that once he's done building here. And yeah, I think he's about done. Hey YouTube, we're back. Back in the basement again. I feel like with the Frankenstein video I was thinking about, other than the fact of just being a clown yesterday, or other than the fact of just clowning around, I feel like I missed the main point of you know, the why, the purpose, because it isn't just a overly complicated way of attaching a rope wrench to a zigzag. The main why was I didn't like the original. Here's the original tether. Just how both of these were a foot, like almost exactly a foot long. I didn't quite like that larger profile, because it's kind of, whoops, one more time, hanging on your saddle. That's kind of like right in your face. And the other point is that this is just quick, one unit, ready to deploy. And this is Frankie 2.0, which is also the main purpose of this video. And has a little backup tender piece. But anyways, before we get to that, about the biggest drawback to just a regular wrench tether is like the attachment. With the way you have to do something like this, I don't own a quickie link. I feel like that would probably be an acceptable easy solution for a regular wrench tether, or one of the aluminum tethers. I think I climbed on this setup a few times, and I thought that this was genius, and this would be a nice spot to use as a tender. as well, and that kind of did work okay. But I noticed that somehow, like, once this started, I started, working and moving. These legs started to kind of ride up and shift the orientation of the carabiner. I think I would try it like this too, sideways, and you probably still could use a tend like this, but you're on the gate. But that's the main problem I didn't like with doing that, just the pre-existing tether, was that this could get over, and then you start to load it when you're descending, it loads up, just the potential for any type of awkward side load torque on these plates, which probably with a wrench and just going down, that's taking what I think, what is it, either 60% or 40%. I think it takes 40% of your weight off, something like that. But that still might not be enough to cause any BS, but I believe that was, these right here was side loading on the original, very first version of the Zigzag, were what failed, and I believe the tester fell and got injured because these broke here. I could be wrong, but I believe this was the failure point. And then I think after that they incorporated the rubber to keep the carabiner oriented properly. But I still just, that was the main point of Frankenstein, and a similar kind of knocking off the design of the chicane. So I always got that carabiner on my saddle, holding my lanyard, the tail of my lanyard. Kind of got a daisy chain there, but anyway, so if I wanted to going to whatever DRT, either switch from it or to it. I can just, this is just hanging off, this can be just hanging off my saddle, and it's one unit, and the way it's, now this thing is pretty, I'll show some clips of just a kind of quick, fast forwarded kind of couple clips of the making of it, but this, I had to kind of bore the hole out, made it oblong, so this isn't, there's no flex, a couple rubber keepers here, this is aluminum, just a piece, just bought a scrap piece from the local Home Depot, and used my Dremel with a little cutting wheel to cut it to size, and a drill, just a cheap, got a cheap corded drill, bored out the holes, and this is pretty legit now. That's the other kind of thing. It got me thinking Frankenstein 1 was kind of janky looking, and that was the main, I don't really know, I guess why I made the first video, or I stated that, made improvements to it, but the thing's kind of a piece of shit. Got me thinking, and with a bunch of zip ties and stuff, so we scrapped that. This was the main failure point, though. This was originally super stout and solid and firm, and it worked good, but then once that started getting all wallered out, and then this had weakness too, where the wrench was, it just had all that play. That was the main thing, though, I think, was down here, that flop it had in the middle, and there is a little bit of movement here, but it's pretty rigid now and firm. See that? It's no, super stiff. So that's the point I was, I guess, trying to make, was one quick unit with a much better, proper attachment, and it looks this way. It looks much easier on the eyes, and I still had to. I got the rubber pieces in there to kind of for spacer, just tubing. Again, I think I already pointed that out, but tubing I bought from Tree Stuff, and then another drilled a hole below that, stuffed a piece of rubber, and so there still is a couple zip ties, but still that's a lot better than 1800 zip ties on there, and a little just a little kind of clevis from the hardware section in Home Depot, just in case. I like to, like I said, I use my lanyard over the shoulder for tender. I don't actually have a chest or neck tether for tending. So this also could if I want to use that's there, and that doesn't really affect it one way or the other, kind of out of the way. But yeah, so that couple things I was thinking of. The whole larger profile is the reason for this, or should say smaller profile versus what potentially with like full-size tethers you would be climbing on. So that's why, again, I don't think I made that point clear enough on the Frankenstein, the first upload there. And now she's pretty jazzy. Another improvement over the original version with that. I think this is an exactly, I don't know if I mentioned that or not, this is like exactly an inch from here to here is exactly an inch longer, and just I guess just with this more stiff and rigid setup, and just the way this up here holding the wrench, we have a much safer gap here. So I mean, it's just a little longer, but that's still really short profile, and that's not, see, the links are fully as far up as they'll go, and that's not hitting that top link anymore, not posing an issue. And I can still kind of, if I'm not looking or whatever behind off to the side, I still kind of know and get my hand up there plenty for enough. It's still pretty compact, and yeah, I think it's gonna be good. We'll shoot a clip soon. Me and farting around in a tree with it. So I hope it makes sense now. Apologies for the first video. I don't know what we were thinking. Appreciate all the support, YouTube. Thanks for watching.
Everybody loves me.